Thank you, Mr. Speaker. On March 22nd, 2024, I had asked the government to level with Canadians on the true efficacy of the mega programs that it announced that fall short on the delivery of real and substantive assistance to all Canadians. Mr. Speaker, I had referenced the much-touted Liberal NDP pharmacare deal reached by the governing coalition. However, when Canadians took a closer look, they saw a scheme that's more smoke and mirrors and that would not actually truly help people. Mr. Speaker, Canadians saw the charade repeat in the not-so-glorious dental deal worked out by the coalition. The problem, it freezes out most of the middle class and makes seniors wait until age 87 for coverage. So much for how the Liberals and NDP care about Canada's senior citizens. I guess seniors under 87 don't have dental issues. The scheme's also not going over well with Canada's dentists. They have indicated that they will not accept the government's proposed fee schedules. Mr. Speaker, Canadians have also seen multiple carbon tax grabs. Another one came into effect on April 1st. A real, cruel April Fool's joke. And it's just like all the other carbon taxes, raking in billions, but doing little to improve Canada's environment or provide an honest and full rebate to all Canadians, especially small businesses who were promised the $2.5 billion from this government and have yet to receive a single dollar. Then, Mr. Speaker, the government turned around after reviewing the polls in Atlantic Canada and gave a carbon tax holiday to the region, forgetting about the rest of the country. It's farmers, our truckers, and increased grocery prices and so on. So much on being concerned about the environment, Mr. Speaker. Also, if the Liberals managed by some miracle to pull out another minority victory in the next election, the respite from the carbon tax grab in Atlantic Canada would disappear quickly. So, Mr. Speaker, then there was the equally shady national childcare strategy. That wonderful plan has led to a net loss of over 100,000 spaces and created childcare deserts, especially in rural areas. Even now, Mr. Speaker, I have constituents from my community who are asking, when are the spaces going to become available? What good is $10 a day if there are no spaces with which to pay $10 to access? Mr. Speaker, let us not forget the cannabis policy that backfired and led to the growth of a huge black market, increased crime, and welcomed the return of organized crime in a cannabis business. So yes, Mr. Speaker, what has been given much fanfare from the government needs closer examination. The proof is indeed in the pudding, and these policies are severely unappetizing. They're devoid of true benefits to Canadians and are just a bundle of smoke and mirrors. So finally, Mr. Speaker, in responding to my initial question, the parliamentary secretary, and I'm glad there's another individual joining me this evening, because that one had tried to defend the indefensible and took a few shots at me. I stated that I had initially campaigned on most of these policies as a Liberal candidate in the last election and begged to be a member of the Liberal caucus when I was removed. But based on a years-old trumped-up charge against me, presumably to defeat me in the later election. However, that charge was conveniently forgotten, was withdrawn by a Crown prosecutor well before that election was eventually held. So I want to tell the parliamentary secretary that I certainly did not campaign on many of these dubious policies that came out after the election and are designed to pretend that real assistance would be given to all Canadians. No, Mr. Speaker, I did not campaign on mismanagement and hoodwinking, and I am glad to have not rejoined the Liberal caucus. Thank you, because this is one that rallies around misleading policies and deal-making with its NDP partner to retain power. Mr. Speaker, Canadians deserve better. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary to the Minister of Environment and Climate Change.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. And speaking of Canadians who deserve better, the constituents of Spadina Fort York indeed deserve better than this show. And this effort to join the Conservative caucus is, good luck is all I can say. I don't recall a time when there was a Conservative MP for Spadina Fort York, but good luck. While the member prefers to borrow slogans from the Conservatives' empty political rhetoric, I'll choose to focus on the work that we've done for Canadians from coast to coast to coast. Since 2015, our government's economic plan has invested in the middle class, strengthened Canada's social safety net, and worked to build an economy where everyone has a real and fair chance at success. From historic investments in childcare to quarterly Canada Child rebate increases, to Canada carbon rebates, enhancements in the Canada worker benefit, to tax cuts for the middle class, we've worked tirelessly to make life more affordable for Canadians, ensuring that everyone has a fair chance at succeeding. Our government continues to prioritize what matters most to Canadians today by building more housing, taking concrete action to stabilize prices, and delivering more important supports to Canadians. We extended the one-time grocery rebate to some 11 million eligible low and modest income individuals and families who have been hardest hit by rising food prices, and we also enhanced the Canada Workers Allowance by introducing automatic advance payments. We are offering direct tax-free payments of up to $1,300 per child over 2 years through the Canada Dental Benefit, and we've also launched the Canadian Dental Care Plan, which, when fully implemented, will help up to 9 million uninsured people access the care they need. These supports have enabled millions of people to buy essentials like groceries and pay their rent, but we know that we need to do more. We are also meeting the moment and tackling housing affordability. We recently introduced new measures to incentivize the construction of new rental housing, protect renters and homeowners, and make it easier for Canadians to get those first keys of their own. Canada does not have enough homes, and we need to build more of them faster. That's why we're unlocking billions of dollars in new financing, money that will go towards supporting the construction of new homes in Canada. This includes $15 billion in additional low-cost financing through the Apartment Construction Loan Program, which will help build more rental homes for Canadians. The Canada Housing Benefit was launched in 2020 and has helped many Canadians since then. By 2027-2028, this benefit will have helped make rent more affordable for over 300,000 low and modest income households. Mr. Speaker, while the member borrows from the Conservatives who eagerly gamble with the supports that Canadians rely on, we will stand firm in our commitment to the people of Canada. We will continue in our relentless pursuit of economic strategies that work for all Canadians. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The honourable member for Spadina-Fort York.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I don't blame the parliamentary secretary for struggling to be able to find a coherent theme because there's such a litany of failures. Where do you even begin? Right? Childcare, $10 a day, sounds great, but there's 100,000 less spaces. What use is affordable childcare if there are no spaces to access? Carbon tax. Let's put aside the fact that the independent and nonpartisan parliamentary budget officer says more Canadians are hurt than helped, and just focus on the fact that this government had promised small business $2.5 billion in rebates, and yet conveniently has forgotten. That $2.5 billion is owed to our small businesses that are the lifeblood and engine of our economy. It is not a personal slush fund for this government to try to buy votes or to try to cover up for the fact that they've been spending out of control, not their money, but Canadians' hard-earned taxpayer dollars. Mr. Speaker, I hope that this government will reflect on their actions to date and ensure that they guard and safeguard and protect and invest taxpayer dollars responsibly.
Well, Parliamentary Secretary.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And again, my sincerest condolences to the constituents of Spadina-Fort York. They had great representation with people like Adam Vaughan in federal parliament, as well as Joe Cressy and Mike Layton, who have done an extraordinary job standing up for their constituents. It's sad to see this member just dial it back. But in a couple of years, Spadina-Fort York will be well represented by a Liberal. I'm certain of that. Mr. Speaker, a key pillar of the government's economic plan has been a focus on making life more affordable for Canadians, because when people have the support they need to thrive, they can contribute to the economy, they can build a better life for themselves and their family, and they can play an active role in their communities. Inflation is down to 2.8%, and wage growth in Canada has been outstripping inflation for almost a year now. Mr. Speaker, it's important to note that 18 months ago, a lot of economists thought we'd be in a recession today. Our economic policies have ensured that's not the case, and over 1 million people today are employed than before the pandemic. Progress is being made on our commitment to help make life more affordable for people from coast to coast to coast, and we'll stick with it because there's more to do. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.